That's how good that guy is. Like, he is a genius.
When I started DJing, I didn't ever think about coming to America, so it's still like quite mad for me.
One of the hottest names in dance music all over the world.
His lush R&B inspired garage and wobbly bass line. It's Sammy Virji!
In the last few years, there has been a resurgence of UK garage worldwide, dominating charts, clubs, and being played by some of the biggest artists in the scene. Heading this resurgence of UKG is Sammy Virji, now becoming a global garage phenomenon, collaborating with some of his dream artists and becoming the #1 UK garage artist of 2025. In this video, we dive into Sammy Virji's come up from a local London producer and DJ to a worldwide name. This artist was recommended to me by a fellow viewer. If there's someone that you would like to see covered, please comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with other artists I cover, as well as big news in the EDM scene.
It's Virji, isn't it?
Sammy Virji was born in the city of London in September of 1996 and grew up in the city of Whitney in England. His father was a famous trombonist and even played on the Grammy Award-winning album Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Following in his father's footsteps, he began to learn to play instruments at a young age, starting with piano and guitar.
Played a lot of instruments, a lot of guitar when I was younger. I was making a lot of music. I was like making up my own stuff, and I'd always been obsessed with that. I've always been involved in music since a kid. You know, I was making music on guitar and piano when I was like really young.
In the 6th year of school, he was introduced to the early sounds of dubstep from 2006 to 2007, being introduced to artists like Scream and Plastician.
So I had influences from dubstep like Scream and Plastician, and then when it got more into the garage world, people like MJ Cole and Todd Edwards.
Although he didn't live with his father, he did get exposed to a variety of genres when he was with him. Searching through his record collection, he became obsessed with soul, disco, Motown, and jazz. He says his father would often play African and Latin music, which he says he tries to attribute to his music today. Although he wanted to follow in his father's footsteps, his dad tried to steer him away from music, telling him not to be a musician. In his early teenage years, he began learning to produce music on GarageBand. He began creating really bad dubstep and recreating the jazz music he would hear his father play. Whenever he would go to his father's house, he would use his dad's computer containing a copy of the music creation software Logic. His father would end up giving him that computer as a birthday present, letting him be able to produce higher quality music.
I'd always like mess around on GarageBand and just like for fun, just playing around. I'd spend a lot of time doing that. But it wasn't until I was maybe 14, 15, I picked up Logic and started trying to make like really bad dubstep and stuff like that. I would go over to my dad's house and use Logic. He had it on his computer. Eventually he gave me that computer for my birthday.
As he collected more music, he would often separate them by key and make mini mixes containing tracks of all one key of music.
What I used to do with all my music, even though I didn't have decks or anything, I used to put it in keys, organize it in folders, and then I used to make mixes, but I didn't have decks, so it would be a matter of like dragging and dropping the tunes into Logic. I wouldn't be able to change the BPM, so the transitions would be really rough, but then they'd be in key.
Then in 2013, he would create his first SoundCloud and upload songs to there. When he was 16, he got his first DJ controller and began learning how to really mix. His first experience of live music was a liquid drum and bass set by Netsky, further fueling his ambition to create music. He continued to learn production throughout high school and would start to enter his music into competitions. He would do that until he began attending college or uni in 2015, when he says he really noticed an improvement in his production. At his university, he was lucky to get booked with a fellow housemate who was also interested in music. Him and Yemi began to produce and learn to mix together. There was a club on campus which allowed fellow students to play what they wanted, and Sammy and Yemi would use this opportunity to begin learning how to mix music.
When I went to uni, I was DJing like 3 or 4 times a week with my housemate Yemi, and we were doing like all kinds of genres. It would be like R&B nights or house and techno nights and stuff like that. So we started out DJing together, and then as like a secondary job, I'd say like towards the end of first year, we were playing all the time, getting paid for it, like a little bit of money.
At that point, he would begin releasing more of his music on SoundCloud. There were some deleted songs from over the years, but his first to get big was in late 2015 with the UKG track Lord, that is currently sitting at over 275,000 on SoundCloud. He would continue to enter his music to be rated and into competitions. In October of 2015, just a few weeks into uni, he would attend a show that would change his whole outlook on his future.
Flavor D. It was like the first week of uni, and I remember just thinking, I'd love to do this. It was just like the energy in the room was insane. Grime, garage, bassline. I just remember just being blown away. I was stone cold sober, and I was just in awe.
He began releasing more music with bassline, grime, and UKG, all on his SoundCloud with a free download.
Like all I would do is just make tunes and then put them up for free downloads. And there's a thing where you do it, and if they download it, they have to follow you. And for me, I was just getting my name out there.
By 2016, he had just under 1,900 followers on SoundCloud and 15 tracks total. After some releases, he was able to get a release on 2 UK local record companies. First Trench Bass Music Records, then Chip Buddy Records.
And eventually that's how I got discovered by a label called Chip Buddy Records back in my bassline days.
He continued to release music under both record companies and got his first EP release on Chip Buddy Records, his first songs on Spotify. In 2016, he began playing for a UK record company, Represent Radio, and his name began to get bigger throughout the UK. December of 2016 would be a crazy month for his career. He would hit 2K followers on SoundCloud, release his first EP with Chip Buddy Records. In mid-December, would get one of his songs with Chip Buddy Records #1 on the Juno download charts. From all this hype, he would create a Facebook page. In January of 2017, he found a few more like-minded friends and joined in with them to create a collective STDY after all 4 of their initials. All 4 of them would host shows together where they would play all sorts of different genres.
Collective promotes the love of music because it is such a wide range.
Him and Yemi would begin getting booked as support on shows around Newcastle, on top of their local clubs around campus. In March, he would then get an opportunity he would have only dreamed out previously, getting to play alongside Yemi as support for Flava D. Then, just a few weeks later, he would play his first show with his collective. In April, he would get to release on a larger record company, Deep Rot, and his first release with them would receive over 8 million views on YouTube. He would continue to release on Chip Buddy Records and would get booked his first show out of the country in Croatia. He would also get booked for his first headline show, getting to play in London. In the summer of 2017, he did a promo mix and set for the company Tramlines. July of 2017 would be huge for Sammy. He released his second song on Deep Route, which is currently sitting at 3.5 million on SoundCloud and 3.1 on YouTube. One of the biggest songs to date alongside his other release on Deep Route. As his music got more traction, he started playing bigger shows, getting on a lineup with fellow up-and-coming producer Hamdi. In September, he would not only travel out of the country for the first time, but also hit 5K on SoundCloud. Just a few weeks later, he would collaborate with Hamdi. Together, they would release Show Me under Bristol record company Gas. As Sammy's name got bigger throughout the UK, he would start seeing consistent bookings. Throughout the rest of the year, he would be grinding, playing shows while attending school. Then he announced he would have a new booking agent with Universal Artist Agency, alongside artists like Riot 10, Schism, and Rusko. Just before Christmas, he would release a new EP on Resonate Sounds, which would exceed his expectations, reaching #2 on the Beatport Bass charts. He would bring in the new year, playing NYE at O2 in Oxford. During this time at university, he would begin to see more interest in his music, and he was getting more consistent time at local clubs. He felt as though he was wasting time going to school for his biology degree, so in his junior year of college, he dropped out.
I just didn't like the course either. I thought it was really boring. And I never actually finished biology. I actually dropped out in 3rd year. It was when my production started getting noticed. Then I did start getting bookings in like Sheffield and places like that. Before I knew it, it was kind of like every weekend I was getting a booking. I wouldn't have been able to do biology or that. Realistically, this is what I want to do, and it's always what I've wanted to do. So
in 2018, he would begin the year being featured again on Represent Radio and playing more shows throughout the UK in Brighton, Manchester, and Bristol. He would continue to get booked at bigger and bigger shows, and would even get his own monthly spot on Represent Radio, where he'd get to play for 3 hours every 3rd Friday of the month, starting in March. In April of 2018, he would release his song Too Much Conversation, which would be his first announcement on his Instagram. Later that month, he would play at the Pier Jam alongside James Hype and Holy Goof, one of his biggest shows he had ever played at that point. Just a few days later, he would announce his first tour, the Like a Virgin Tour, where he would spend 3 weeks traveling across the UK from September to October. Before the tour, he would have another one of his songs hit #1 on the Juno Bass charts and hit 10K on SoundCloud. Throughout the next few months, he would consistently release music and play just about every show he could. During the tour, he would end up selling out just about every night. He was consistently getting listens on his music and getting consistent bookings across the UK. After his tour, he would play throughout the UK, playing a show hosted by Forbidden Events, a large-scale festival company in the UK, and playing New Year's Eve in Leeds. Just before the year ended, he would have another huge release with Find My Way Home, which is currently sitting at 4.8 million on SoundCloud. He stayed busy throughout the beginning of 2019, consistently releasing music, playing shows, and playing for his radio show. In February, he would start a residency for another London radio show, Rinse FM. During his radio shows, he would end up working with a fellow UK producer, Shapes, and he would get an accidental voice clip of him that would turn out to be even bigger than Sammy imagined.
I am the Virji Isn't It guy. I was recording like jingles or liners for DJs. And one of the people that got in touch was Sammy. Now, back then, me and Sammy didn't really know each other. So I was recording, I'd not met him in person before, and I was recording these liners, and genuinely what I would do is just send one long audio file of me just talking, and then they could pick up whatever they wanted.
Cut it up.
And genuinely, I was just checking the pronunciation of his surname. I just went, it's Virji, isn't it? Sammy is the genius that turned something that wasn't supposed to be a tag into a tag.
Like that.
That's how good that guy is. Like, he is like a genius.
His first song using the sample would be dedicated to Shapes himself. Throughout 2019, he would find himself not only headlining shows throughout the UK, but playing festivals alongside giant name DJs. June of 2019, he would travel to Barcelona, Spain to headline his own show. September through November, he would go on part 2 of his Like a Virgin tour. At the end of this tour, he would reach 20k on SoundCloud. He would use 2020 to really crank out some music. He would consistently release music, getting to release on AC Slater's Nightbase. In May, he released his first album, Spice Up My Life. He would then host a competition to be able to be included in his next music video. Since everyone was stuck at home, he would use this to have people send in videos he would have put together to make his next music video. September of 2020, he would begin playing shows again in the UK, getting to play some social distance events as support for Chasing Status. In October of 2020, he would release a remix of Aluna, but this one would be special because it would be his first track featuring instruments played by his father. Throughout the end of 2020 into early 2021, he would have frequent radio appearances and live streams, getting to do an official set for DJ Mag. He would make another song with one of his family members, this time his sister on vocals. A few weeks later, he would release a new EP, the We'll Be Alright EP. In July of 2021, he would begin playing at full capacity shows once again. In September of 2021, he would find one of his official remixes on FIFA, but he wasn't even aware of it being added till it came out.
You're gonna ask me, how did it get on there? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And I wasn't told. I looked at the list of tracks. I was like, oh cool, Baklava's on there. Oh, Aluna is on there. Yeah. Oh, I did a remix for Aluna, but it just said Aluna, and then I get a message from someone saying, oh, your tune's on FIFA. I was like, no, it's not, mate. He's like, nah, it is. I looked at the track list carefully, and it was like Body Pump, Aluna, it's like Sammy Virji remix. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And the reason I wasn't told was because I'd signed the publishing over when I did the remix. It was the original label that owned it, so they can basically do whatever they want with it. But yeah, it's just crazy.
In 2022, he would buckle down and consistently release music while playing shows and festivals around the UK and other countries in Europe, playing Poland and Ibiza. One of his songs with Holy Goof would be featured on Apple Music's Breaking Dance playlist. Then he would get another one of his songs on BBC Radio 1's Future Dance playlist. Then in July, he would not only once again collaborate with his father, but get to make a song with his once idol in the scene, Flava D. September, he would release the Blue Freeze EP and would go on the Isn't It tour from October to November. He would celebrate the New Year's of 2023, going on tour in Australia and New Zealand. 2023 would be by far the most pivotal point in his career. He would sign his first deal with a major record label. Then he would get a huge collaboration opportunity with Shelliverse, getting to work with Floatin', who had previously done songs with Skrillex and Fred again. Then he would play his first US and Canada tour. With so much time behind the decks, he had become more and more skilled with mixing and using his equipment to the fullest. This expertise, with his ability to play live, would excel him to levels he only dreamed about previously. And in August of 2023, he would get to play a set live at the DJ Mag headquarters. After this set, his listener count would start growing exponentially. With his music now becoming more popular in the US, he began getting booked for bigger and bigger venues, and the crowds would become bigger with them. In November, he would become SoundCloud's Ascending Artist of the Month, and would be nominated for DJ Mag's Best British Producer of the Year. He would then release If You Need It, which would be his biggest song to date, hitting 115 million on Spotify alone. He would even acknowledge his show's getting crazier, and by the end of the year would show his appreciation with a post saying he would have never imagined the year playing out the way it has. 2024, he would begin the year getting on Spotify Mint Artist to Watch for 2024. Then he would spend the next 2 months on his first North American tour, playing in the US and Canada. When he played in the US, he would be very surprised at the amount of people who already knew his music. On his tour, he would meet up with a fellow UK producer, Chris Lake, and together they would begin to collaborate on music and release Summertime Blues in April of 2024. Just a few weeks after the release, he would be contacted by DJ Mag again, but this time to be their front cover. Immediately after the tour, he'd be contacted to do more shows across the US and the UK, playing Parklife Festival and Glastonbury Festival in June. Just a few weeks later, he'd be playing the taverns in Tennessee and a 360 set in Austin, Texas. As 2024 progressed, no matter where he played, his crowds began to get bigger than he imagined.
Quite scary, to be honest. Scary good, but scary definitely. It's just like, I don't know. I have to pinch myself sometimes.
In August, he would play at the Creamfields to over 25,000 people. That same month, he would do an essential mix for BBC Radio 1, and it would end up being crowned the #1 mix of the year. Just a month later, he would travel to the US for his next tour. But before the tour, he would get his first opportunity to play for Boiler Room, this time at Civic Center Park in Denver. He would then play Portola Festival in San Francisco, and during his tour would get to go back-to-back with Fred again in Detroit. He would spend the rest of the year traveling across the world playing his 2024 tour. In LA, he would get to do a surprise back-to-back with Chris Lake. At the beginning of 2025, he would reminisce on the year and look back at his best year yet. In 2025, he would do an official back-to-back with Chris Lake in EDC Thailand. And that same month would be the cover of Amazon Music's UK's 2025 Artist to Watch. After that, would continue on his first official Europe tour. Just a few weeks after that tour ended, he would go on another tour, this time a part 2 of the North American tour, all across the US. During this tour, he would play his Coachella debut, get to go back-to-back with Fortet, and get to make a song with one of the biggest UK rappers, Skepta, on Cops and Robbers.
DJ play one for the bad man. DJ play one for the ladies. Said go on and the crowd go crazy. I'm on a wave, he's trying to get wavy.
As Sammy was spending more time in the US, he began to spend more time with Chris Lake, and together they would once again collaborate on 925. Just a day after the release, he would play the Leeds Festival, but this time as a closer and co-headliner. Shortly after this, he announced the release of his next album, Same Day Cleaning. Leading up to the release, he would play shows and do album signings all across the UK. That same month, he would be announced as Beatport's Artist of the Month. The album would end up as the #1 dance album on the UK's official charts. Before the year ended, he would officially collaborate with one of the biggest names in dance music, releasing Talk of the Town with Fred again, and then another song with Winnie, which they would premiere at their back-to-back in Chicago. Then he would spend 2 weeks going on his first official tour in Asia. So far in 2026, he has announced dates for Europe and UK tour, and Cardiff Castle in Wales, and was nominated for a Brit Award. Sammy Virji may have seemed like he came out of nowhere if you didn't live in the UK, but Sammy was slowly honing his craft and slowly working his way up in the producer world for years. With Sammy's unmatched energy on the decks and his down-to-earth attitude, it seems the sky's the limit for his ability to keep climbing as one of the biggest UK producers in the world. The resurgence of UKG worldwide was spearheaded by Sammy's ability to seamlessly mix tracks together and ability to create all sorts of different sounding music, which helped bring a new sound to places never once able to by UKG. I'm excited to see where Sammy Virji will be able to play next and what collaboration he has next in the works, because at this point the list of possibilities is endless. If you like this video, you may like my other video on disco lines or tape B. I would greatly appreciate it if you liked, commented, or subscribed on my channel.